my friend. I'm out here on a beautiful summer morning trying to get this film for you before it gets too hot. But I was walking around my yard and landscape the other day and I just kept thinking about all the things that the previous owners had done to make this home feel like this beautiful, cozy cottage on the outside. And so I thought I would share these ideas with you. So we're just gonna walk around and check out all these ideas that are really great ideas that you could implement in your own home and garden and yard to get that cottage feel. What I've been really impressed to see is how resourceful they were. A lot of these ideas that I'm seeing can be done on a budget. I think that is what's so amazing with the cottage garden vibe and the cottage yard. It can be very resourceful. You can use free things that are almost found in your area. We'll see some of those instances where I can tell that they've used maybe fallen branches in the landscape. It can be the cottage garden can be a really thrifty way to do a yard and a landscape. So let's walk around and check out some of these ideas and hopefully get your creative juices flowing for how you can create your own thrifty cottage garden. Friends, I am working with Dreo again to sponsor this video. Last time I shared with you their tower fans, which quite frankly saved our bacon this summer in this unconditioned home. But they also make humidifiers, and a humidifier is something I highly recommend every home have, probably especially during the drier times of the year. And if you're in a drier climate like us, we live in the Rocky Mountains and we simply cannot get away without having a humidifier or 2 or 3 in our home. And since we are also coming up on cold and flu season, I think a humidifier is a great thing to have, especially when you're congested, have a cold, you're really stuffy. They can be really nice to keep by your bedside to just keep the air moist and things moving through. So they sent me the Smart Humidifier HM524S model to test out. So let me show you how easy it is to set up and all the cool features. Now, something unique about this Smart Humidifier from Dreo that I haven't had in other humidifiers that I've gotten is this really wide 4-inch mist outlet. The specific model works well for a space that is about 500 square feet, which is quite a big space and can work great for bedrooms, offices, living rooms, a baby room, etc. Now, I could tell right away that it put out a lot of mist and you could feel it working in the space right away. A couple of things you always want to look out for in a humidifier, in my humble opinion, is that it is quiet. Since it's usually something you're going to want to set up at night in the bedroom where you're sleeping to keep the air nice and moist while you breathe through the night, especially for sick kiddos. You want it to be quiet so that you can sleep through it. Now, the Dreo humidifier has an ultra quiet operation at 28 dB and is quite relaxing as a very quiet background noise. You also want to look at the time that your humidifier will run with a single tank fill. And this one runs for a total of 60 hours with its 6-liter tank, which is so awesome. The Dreo humidifier is easy to set up and use with their big screen on the product, or you can use the Dreo app and it's compatible for Google Home or Alexa. You can also customize the colors while it runs, or the light. Now, if you'd like the internal lights on, you can, but you can also turn them off. But let me tell you, my absolute favorite feature is the aroma pad to use your humidifier as aromatherapy. You don't ever want to add essential oils into the water, and there's plenty of warnings that warn you of that because it can damage the product. But they have this really cool aroma pad where you can add drops of essential oils and it will dissipate the oils into the air with the water. I love diffusing essential oils in my home, and this makes one more way that I can do it while adding moisture to our dry air. I think it will be great to be able to add like peppermint or eucalyptus to help with breathing when we get stuffed up with a cold or flu. But I just absolutely love this feature and how it makes the room smell so nice. Something else to think about is that if you have a lot of plants in your home, they are going to love the little bit of extra humidity that this humidifier will add to the air. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about the Dreo humidifier. I will leave a link in the description below for this exact model that I got with a coupon code that you can use to save some money on your own purchase. But also check out everything else that Dreo has to offer. They have different humidifier models if you want to look for something different color perhaps, but I really love their selection. So definitely check out the link in the description below. A huge thanks to Dreo for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the cottage garden. And I'm sitting down here in this like really cozy fire pit area, which we love using. It's so nice to have a fire pit that gets the smoke to go up. You can roast marshmallows and not feel like a campfire. It's amazing. So anyway, let's talk about creating cozy seating areas first. And this is one of them. It's a beautiful little area that they obviously use like old railroad ties to kind of frame in this area. It's just full of charm and such a beautiful space. But there are a lot of other opportunities in cottage garden to create this cozy, welcoming place to sit and enjoy. So let's walk around and look at some of those. So right off the back door of this house, we have this cute little patio area, and I just put the rockers that I had in the last house on the porch. It's so nice to have a little seating area right outside of the house or a door that you walk out of. My favorite spot to sit is in these little white metal chairs that I picked up at a vintage market. We just move them around wherever the shade is, and they're so cute here under the clothesline. If you can make as many dining areas as possible, that's great, especially if you host a lot. I love that they have this pergola here. We put a dining table right under it. There is a picnic table that is very dangerous at this point we need to get rid of, but I'd love to replace it with a new one. So it wasn't much into summer when I realized that we just had to have a hammock. With all these shade trees, it's the best place to just go find some solitude or even snuggle up with a little one, read a book, relax on the hammock. It is my absolute favorite way to spend a summer afternoon, and this was just a must for this cottage yard. Now around this house, they have placed several benches. Some of them are probably not structurally sound enough to sit on, but I love that it just invites this kind of vibe. Of course, if you can find ones that are sturdy, do it. But I love these little benches that you can probably find them antiquing or thrifting, and just nestle them under trees, nestle them wherever feels right, and it just gives it the perfect cottage vibe. But even if you don't want to buy benches, you can just cut down logs that make the perfect spot to sit and tuck them under trees. It's just absolutely adorable. Another thing that I've noticed that they've done in this yard is their use of naturalistic materials to create borders or focal points. Let me walk around and show you how they've used like old firewood, probably came down from trees that they've had to cut down on this property, but they've used it to create these borders and things. And then they've used small rocks that again are probably just from the property to make these beautiful focal points, something to lead your eye along the way. So let's walk around and check out all those spots. It's a really great idea to use logs, rocks, whatever you have as your resources to create something for your eye to land on. You can even see here that they've used rocks around the bases of trees. I think it's really pretty. I love the cottage vibe it gives, but also we've noticed that it does an amazing job at keeping weeds at bay. We have had to do some weeding, but for the most part in these areas where they've packed down a lot of rocks, these little like river rock size, it really does a good job at just containing the weeds. It looks really pretty. Gives you a lot of this cottage vibe. I could imagine instead if you did dirt here, the weeds would be a lot worse. Oh, let me show you how they also used rock inside of the sidewalks. So you can see here, they have these random sections of the sidewalk that have these pebbles in them. And what we learned is they actually installed a watering system and had to cut through the concrete. So instead of repouring, they did these really cute little rock and mortar strips. And I think it adds a lot of character. And you'll see here, they also did it on the front of these stairs. Now these are kind of settling, so we have some issues to deal with. And forget the mess, but they had carpet. I don't know why that stage went through where we put carpets on porches, but we just ripped that out and we're trying to decide on tile. I think I'm gonna go with these ones in a herringbone pattern. I think tile would be the best thing here because this concrete's so beat up. But anyway, I digress. So I was showing you how in the front of these stairs, they did this little rock and plaster thing here, which is very interesting. Now this is a really pretty spot where you can see they used just some stacked rocks, not professionally done, I don't think, but it looks so nice and neat to kind of terrace this land. I just love these little rock borders that run everywhere. Okay, another one of my favorite features of this cottage yard are the meandering pathways that they have placed everywhere. It's just this element that invites you to just go outside, take a walk around, invites you through all the beautiful little cozy nooks everywhere. But a pathway in a cottage garden, I think, is just absolutely essential. So let me share with you all the beautiful pathways they've created around the yard that we frequently walk on and enjoy. Like I'm being watched. So this leads me to my next point, but this cottage garden and yard is full of really interesting trinkets, figurines, just really random things to look at. And it was one of the things that, like, my kids, you know, when we looked at the home, when we first bought it, it was like a treasure hunt to go around and find all the things. We've got some little bunnies here, some ceramic bunnies that I just think are adorable. But let me give you a close-up look at all the interesting things that they've placed in their yard that are great conversation starters that just make it this like magical place to be in. So it's really fun. These can be found at thrift stores. I'm sure she did a lot of antiquing to find these little things that she's placed around the yard. But just how fun to create this magical, almost fairy garden for children and adults alike. Next thing I wanted to talk to you about is the use of color and all the blooming things, right? So I'm here, there's a hydrangea patch, which I am anxiously waiting to bloom. But something I've really noticed about this yard is everything that blooms and grows, and the color has been so well thought out. We've just been amazed to see what color pops up. In the early spring, we saw all this purple foliage and flowers, and then in the early summer there was these pinks and whites and yellows that came up. It was just amazing. So I've been taking footage of all the flowers that have started to grow around this yard, and I'll just share all that with you. It is the end of summer and we are on water turn, so we can't water as much, and I feel like there's not as much color right now at the end of the summer, but I'm excited to see what fall brings with all of these trees and what kind of color we get there. So think about your cottage garden in the terms of stages: early spring, late spring, early summer. What's going to pop up when you just create this constant flow of magic in the color and the flowers that grow? Let me tell you, it's amazing. It was probably so much work, and I still want to add to that and think about that, but I have just been amazed at how thoughtful their approach to this cottage garden has been, and the seasons and what comes out of the ground. It's amazing. As I'm walking to the front of the property here, they have gates on both ends. You can see one here, there's one over there, this little meandering driveway. It's pretty magical. But something else that's really fun about a cottage garden is to name it. So let me show you. They actually made these signs for their gates with what they named their property. They called it the Blue Note Ranch. So for them, it was more of a ranch, but it definitely feels cottage to me, and I'm definitely going to lean more into that and continue what the previous owners have created here. But I want to replace this with a sign for our own name, which, if you've been here with me, you know we are calling this home the Lavender Blue Cottage. It's a blue cottage. We want to do a lavender farm, so it just seemed appropriate. And of course, we all love that song, Lavender Blue, right? So if anyone knows of anyone that makes some cool metal signs, I'm on the lookout, and I need 2 of them so that everyone knows this is Lavender Blue Cottage. But isn't that a fun idea, to name your home and give it something really endearing for yourself and for posterity, something to remember the house by? I just think it's a cottage must, right? Of course, on a cottage, it does not hurt to have some beautiful horses and animals. Here's our horses. You can see my husband's cows out there as well. But let me tell you, having chickens roam about, cats, dog, all the things, maybe feels more like a farm, but it does make it feel just like home. Now we got to talk about archways and arbors. Can you see this little black cast iron archway here? There are so many in this yard, and it's so fun. It just creates that, I don't know, you just feel special walking through an archway. It's also a great focal point in the garden, whether it's structural and you're actually walking under it, that there might be a path under the archway, or if it's just something to point your eye to, maybe even just little mini archways, something for plants to climb up, trellises, all those kinds of things add a lot of magic to a cottage garden. So let me walk around and show you the variety that they have. It's just really fun to have these magic little entryways to make you feel like you're royalty walking through your own beautiful garden. And it's also really fun. Some archways can be formed from the trees or the bushes or the foliage around you. My daughter loves this little area. She thinks it's just magical to walk through, and it really is. So I'm coming out here to the horse corral area. One of them. We move them around to help the land heal for a minute. But there is this cute little area here that I want to talk about as well. It's framed out by 2 arbors or archways, whatever you want to call them. But a really cool story behind this area, because this spot on the land was where the first home on this land was. They called it the Homestead. So long, long ago, I need to check my dates, but I think even into the 1800s, this is where the original home stood, and it actually burned down. And somehow there's all these trees here, and the previous owners created this cute little space of solitude, I guess, surrounded by these archways and these trees, just kind of like a fly is following me, kind of honoring the past, I guess. And I think it's a really cool thing. Now you can see it's seriously overgrown. We have some work to do here. It just hasn't been top priority. But they have these little pavers in here as well. We need to clear it out and make room. But you're seeing in here some cool figurines. A little seating area that definitely needs some love. You got some bird houses. It's just this really special area that I can see us really getting cleaned up and being a wonderful place to just sit and think. transplanted a lot of our lavender to circle around this little area. A lot of it has died though. We think it's just not getting enough sun because these are putting so much shade on it. And lavender loves sun, but you can see also their use of logs to kind of frame this out and border the area. Another great idea. But I just love that there's almost this homage to history and to remember what was originally here. I think that's another great idea, to bring some sentimentality to your cottage, to just honor those before you. All right, you guys, it's getting hot. I need to wrap up this video. But I want to end on talking about the structural things that you can put in your garden to really add some interest. Case in point, this horse barn, it's just a rectangle, but it is so full of charm and character. Let me actually flip it around and get you a better look. Something so basic as just this rectangular shed can take on a lot of character. One, with the colors you choose, but the amazing trim that you add with it. I love the little white trim boxes here. It adds so much character. Oh, hello, chicken. But how clever to hang this wheel. It really adds some dimension to it. I love the hinges. I love even at the top that there's that weather vane. So really think about your sheds and the structures on your home, even outside of the home itself, that can add a lot of charm to a cottage garden. Roofing is also another interesting way to add some charm to any kind of shed or structure in your home. We have original cedar shakes on this house, which unfortunately have to be replaced, and to replace them with new cedar shakes is a fortune. We just can't do it. So I'm really sad about that, but enjoying the charm of these for a little bit longer until we replace them, probably with asphalt. I'm gonna see what options there are out there, but that's about the only thing in the price point that we can meet. But even like a little shed. Oh, let me show you, if you haven't seen our chicken hutch, you can see how we found some of the old cedar shakes that were there and that were in the attic here, left over from the roof. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words a lot. But we put them on the chicken coop and it added so much charm. Also, when thinking about structures, think of your fence lines and how you can add some character to them. I love that they added this little white plastic chain. It's not that fancy, probably super affordable. And they added that in this looping manner to just create a really visually interesting fence. Finally, if I could add anything, plant trees, plant shrubbery. Cover your cottage yard in as much foliage and greenery as possible. I'm so thankful that the previous owners made this orchard, that they made these spots with evergreen trees that we can enjoy in the winter and can offer some protection there. I love that there's maples. I just love that there is a variety of trees everywhere. Truly, that's where the value of this home really is. So do yourself and future homeowners a favor and plant all the trees. Besides all the trees that you can plant, something else to think about is ground cover. This land is just rich in ground cover. And you know, when we first bought it, we thought, oh, what have we done? We're gonna have so much yard work. And yes, we have a long list of things to do, but we've been amazed at how actually self-sufficient this yard is. With all the ground cover and the things that they've put in, the spring had a lot of weeding, but after that, I feel like it's maintained itself by itself pretty well. Of course, there's going to be yard work, but that is the beauty of a cottage garden, is it can kind of take this unruly nature about it and somehow look good. It's not going to look like your manicured subdivision yard, but if you embrace this cottage style, it has a bit of whimsical nature to it, which is a great thing if you don't like weeding, such as I. Well, friends, thanks for joining me. I hope you have come away with a lot of ideas to help you build a cottage garden and yard of your own. I sure love this place. It's my little slice of heaven, and appreciate you joining with me. I will be back very soon to share more inspiration for the keeper of the home.